Hey angels, welcome back to my channel, guys. Yes, it's been quite some time since I've actually been on here, and I actually think that this is the perfect video to, as my little entryway and starting to upload again. Talking about validation. Validation from people, validation from friends, relationships, things like that. I think it's so important that we learn who we really are and to become self-actualized. Now, before we actually get into the video, make sure that you're following me on Instagram because I actually just uploaded a photo a couple days ago. Probably, I don't know when you guys are gonna see this, but same outfit and everything. And it was a very different post for me. And I think it's just so important to do different things and explore different sides of yourself because that's all a part of who you are. That's all a part of growing. And that's honestly what I've been doing this entire time. Just figuring out myself and how I want to do things. And also, I have a podcast, so if you guys go to the description box below, you guys will see the link to my podcast where I upload every single Tuesday. So actually, if you guys have been tuned into my podcast, then I technically haven't been gone because that's where I have been this entire time, kind of just staying consistent with that and things like that. So make sure your post notifications are turned on so that you are notified every single time that I post. And now let's get into this video. Do you feel like you care too much about what people think? Okay, yes, a lot of us usually do. We always usually care about what people think, especially if you are someone that you have a platform or whatever. It's so easy to say, you shouldn't care about what people think. But of course, it's a lot more easier said than done. Being on, YouTube or any sort of public figure and, of any sort, you have to be resilient. You have to be self-actualized. Otherwise, and honestly, this pertains to anyone can say anything about you and you're going to fit that description. You're going to live that label out because you don't really know yourself. And it's so important to be able to define that and to understand who you are. That way, you're not faced in situations where people have such an impact. Whatever they say has such an impact on you and how you feel about yourself. So firstly, I think it's important to discover or discuss what are the ways that we seek validation? Now, okay, let's bring this home for a little bit. So for me, for instance, right? I know that I have been inconsistent on YouTube. I am someone that I'm a very truthful person. So I understand that. So no one can say, oh my gosh, like you don't really upload that much. And I'm going to be like crying in the corner. I'm aware of that. But at the same time, first of all, I want to say to everybody that is watching this, first of all, I love you. Thank you. Because this is what I realized. The breaks that I have taken were breaks that I needed. And although you guys watch me on here, I'm still a human being. I'm still a person. Like I go through things and, everybody handles things in their own way. And in taking those breaks and things like that, at first I was super hard on myself and I was just like, oh man, like I'm gonna just lose like everything I have. And it's easy to kind of spiral down that, mindset. But I realized that at the end of the day, it's like, Aisha, whoever is gonna support you is gonna support you regardless. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure I'm not the only YouTuber that, has taken breaks or whatever the case is. It's a very normal thing to do. You know what I mean? And I'm super grateful for the support and things, that I do have and the people that still choose to watch my content and stick by me. I'm super grateful for that. But as I evolve as an individual, I'm still getting, everything on track and I still have a life and things that I sort through like everybody else. The only difference is you see me on here. So what are the ways that we seek validation? Well, I can just name two right off the bat: social media and also relationships. So let's discuss what validation actually is. So validation is about recognition and acceptance of someone else's experience. Now, on the contrary, self-validation, which is very important, which I also think could be defined as self-actualization, is your ability to recognize and acknowledge your own internal experience. So, considering that fact, what does that mean to you? Okay, are you able to acknowledge the things that you do and give yourself credit for it? And if somebody disapproves of how you dress, maybe what you say or your opinion of something, it's not just going to waver and take control of your life because someone else has a difference of opinion. So I was actually researching about this topic in general because I do feel like personally it's relatable to me and it's relatable to everyone. And I went on Psych Today, and in an article, Dr. Karen Hall, I'm going to read it verbatim, she says that it's not about agreeing with someone or accepting their thoughts as your own. It's actually about being able to accept these thoughts and experiences as being valid. So basically, she's saying that if someone has an opinion about something, you don't necessarily have to be, agreeable with it and sort of take on whatever that individual is saying to you or projecting on you as your own thoughts. You can, accept that someone has a valid point or whatever the case is without actually taking that on as your own thought. Now, before we actually get into the tips, I want you guys to answer this question to yourselves. What type of validation am I seeking? Is it relationship, romantic relationships? Is it, your friendships? Or if you're in high school, getting accepted into the cool crowd? Is it a certain clique at your job? Is it social media? Is it parental even? Because that's a huge one too. And I want you guys to understand this. If you don't know why you're doing something, then you're not going to be able to change it. And I really want you guys to understand this, okay? This is super important. And yes, I'm talking to you. This is very important. If you don't know why you're doing something, you're not going to be able to change it at the end of the day. So I always, whenever I'm asking and I'm having that internal dialogue with myself and I'm asking myself a question and I don't have an answer to it, one, I'm not going to beat myself up about it, but I know, based on, just research and things like that, in order for me to make an effective change, I have to be able to acknowledge what the actual issue is, what that trigger is, what is causing this. Otherwise, you're just going to keep on doing the same thing. Now, tip number 1, stop comparing. You need to be mindful, okay? I've said this a million times. Comparison is the thief of joy. You need to be mindful of your own accomplishments. And I need to take my own advice on this because, throughout my journey and things like that, when I first hit 100K, I didn't really celebrate it. I was so focused on the next thing, and the next thing. And, that's a whole other story within itself. But I have learned and I am learning to acknowledge the things that I have accomplished and to understand the impact and the platform that I, am blessed to have. So I personally think that comparison and validation are cousins. Why? Because you're always sizing up something. What is better than this? Who wore this better? Who has a better this? And inevitably, what does that do? It's going to make you feel either better or worse. Well, at least I have this new bag. This girl, she has the last year's season. And what does that do? It's making your ego, it's feeding your ego and making you think that you sizing this person up. Think about it. When you're comparing something, in general, you're usually doing it to feed your ego. That's usually the case. Because if you're telling someone or your internal dialogue with yourself is, well, at least I have this and, this person doesn't have that. That's you trying to prove to yourself that you are in some way better. So I think it's incredibly important for us to learn to acknowledge our own skills, our own capabilities, and acknowledge our own accomplishments. And like I said, because comparison will always be the thief of joy, it's essentially it's robbing yourself. Stop robbing yourself, okay? And one of the worst things to be, this is so weird, the worst thing to be is in a relationship with a guy or someone that is jealous of you. What? I'm scared. Yeah, that's an actual thing. There are guys out here or people that are in relationships with people that they are competing with. How is that a functional situation? I dated this guy once, in my early 20s, and I always felt like he was trying to one-up me for everything. And it's very odd because I'm not even a competitive person to begin with. So if I'm noticing that someone's competing with me, which is essentially themselves because I'm not in this race, this is you and you, we have a problem. This is not making sense to me. And then when we broke up and we were friendly or cordial, somewhere along the way after, I always got this intuitive feeling he always had to have this super life update to give me to show how much better his life is, and not even necessarily that his life was, better without me or something, but just in a way of to make me, I guess, think like, wow, like he's doing so well. And, you know, what if like we could get, no, I don't care. I literally don't care. Tip number 2, take a social media break. Okay. First of all, you need to be aware enough to understand when you need a social media break. And how does this pertain to yourself and also relationships? Well, I'll tell you. One, if you just broke up with someone or someone broke up with you, the most natural thing to do is want to go stalk their social media, right? Please, I understand that it is so much easier said than done, okay? The tough love, guys, I'm coming back, okay? Certain things, I can't play Mr. Nice Guy here, all right? Because I want you guys to grow. I want you guys to elevate. And personally, I like this approach too, in terms of learning for myself. You know what I mean? Like, anyway, so it's very important that you understand that stalking someone is not gonna make you think about them any less, right? It's so amazing the pain that we inflict on ourselves as human beings, and we actually think we're helping ourselves. We'll stay with a guy that treats us like absolute garbage and trash, and they broke up with us, or the relationship was just insufferable, and we still want to find a way to be with that individual. How? Why? Fix it, Jesus. Like, I'm very confused. And it's because of this basic principle, right? It is, as human beings, we go towards what is familiar versus what actually makes us happy. That's literally the psychopathy behind it. That's what people do. That's why it's so much easier to go back to an ex than to just start over with somebody new. Think about this. Someone that didn't even treat you well, you want back. And you're trying to pull all the stops to like make it work. Why? Let me tell you something. The sooner you start to implement these types of behaviors, when you start to apply the knowledge, I should say, that's when your life is going to change. And that goes for me, and that goes for you too. You know, ever since, especially I got back from Houston, and I was just like super, like first day I got back, you know, I like filmed a video, I like mapped out everything that I needed to do. And I don't know what switch, change, whatever, but thank you, God. I all of a sudden just realized, I'm like, okay, if I want to get here, I need to do this X, X, and X. And I've always kind of known that, but it's so different when you actually are ready to apply it and live it. It's way different. And if I can, which is why I'm here, which is my purpose, help you guys in any way that I can so that you guys don't have to make a ton of unnecessary mistakes and you can avoid certain, you know, situations or heartache by applying this knowledge sooner than later. Back to what I was saying about social media. So we all know in social media, everyone is always living their best life. It's a highlight reel of everyone's best life. Everyone is always, you know, this person got engaged. This person is going on this vacation for the 15th time. This person's boyfriend got her a brand new car for Valentine's Day and 7 Chanel bags, whatever. So what do you do if you're not in the best state, right? Especially if you are struggling with insecurity issues and comparison and you're not self-actualized, which you can't be if you're suffering from the, you know, the first two. Of course, you're going to get anxiety and depression. And there are actually many studies that actually show that in some ways, social media is linked to depression and things like that, or can lead to depression and things like that. You have to have boundaries with yourself and say, okay, I'm not in the best state right now. What is in my control? What can I eliminate? Don't continue to self-sabotage yourself by engaging in behaviors that are actually hurting you, like stalking the guy. You know he's cheating and everything, but it's like you just gotta tune in. The girl that you thought he was, you know, cheating with that always takes pictures in his bathroom, and you know that's his bathroom, and you see the same activity going on without you. It's like you already did know. What more do you want to see? Ask yourself, what is me viewing this on a daily basis going to do for me? Is it going to make me wealthier, successful, enhance my mindset, improve my lifestyle, make me more beautiful, make me smarter? None of the above. So what is the actual reason other than it's a temporary ego fix? You just want to tune in because it feels good. And this is why it's so important to learn to not have to, you know, seek validation from people and other things, because that's just another example. But when you are on social media and you're comparing your life, because that's what ends up happening, especially if you're not in the best place in your life, you're going to compare yourself to this person. Oh, me and my boyfriend just broke up and this individual is living their best life life and they have like the perfect, you don't know what's going on in people's lives. You do not know what is going on in people's lives. Just because you see someone, I don't care if I start uploading every single day on YouTube. Again, you still don't know me all that well. You still don't know him, her all that well. Like think about it. It's literally just glimpses of an individual. That's what it is. You know what I mean? Of course, you can kind of get a feel of someone's personality, but you truly don't really know them. And that's why on social media, we base a lot of our identity in other people's response. And let me tell you, I have never identified more. Full transparency moment. Of course, look at what I do for, a living. Being on social media. It's like, oh my gosh, if this post I don't feel it gets a lot of likes, it's like, darn, like people don't like that. And that's something I wanted to put out and someone doesn't like that. You know what I mean? And first of all, sidebar, while we're on this subject, thumbs up this video because it needs to push me in the algorithm. Since I haven't uploaded in a long time, YouTube's gonna hide it. That's the truth. And engagement is super important. So if you really do love me and you genuinely want the 18 to grow, then I would give it a thumbs up. That's what I would do. Anyways, back to the subject. If you are someone that is, especially in social media, of course, you're going to kind of care about, how the numbers are doing and things like that, because as it pertains, if it's your job too, that directly corresponds with your success and what it is that you do, because that's just how it works. You know what I mean? If there's no proof to show your influence or whatever the case is, then you wouldn't necessarily be an influencer. Now, for people that this is not your profession, I'm not blind to the fact that it would still impact you just as well. If you're someone that has even only 1,000 followers, if you're getting like 3 likes on a photo and stuff, whatever we put out there on social media, we want people to like. But if I may, if social media isn't your job, babe, there really is no reason to put all of this pressure on yourself to get however many likes. It's not even your job. Like, I honestly say that in peace and love and justice for all. It's not even your job, so you shouldn't even really genuinely care that much. But then think about it. The purpose of social media is to make us feel like validated and accepted, especially now that they have you can react to stories now. You can react to posts. You can react to comments. You know what I mean? Like, how you can laugh at something. You can make a sad face at something. It's giving us more and more reasons as a society to feel more sad if we're not getting that engagement, if we're not getting those reactions. Because before, it was just as simple as a like or maybe a dislike. Like, who dislikes things? Like, who sent you? Anyway, now it's not only can I like it, but I can laugh at it. I can heart eye it. I can have emotion behind that like. You know what I mean? So considering that fact, of course it's going to implement your self-esteem. Of course you constantly checking on that guy is going to potentially lower your self-esteem. And you're checking in, constantly tuning into whatever he's doing. Okay, there's only 3 tips on this. It's not, a super long video, but I really want to drive this point home that you need to know yourself. You need to know yourself. And I'm saying this and I'm implementing it myself because even here, like on my channel, I know I keep bringing it back to me, but at the end of the day, I'm aware of the fact that, hey, everyone's not going to like everything. Everyone is not going to be super happy for me. Everyone is not always going to support me. There may be people that started out supporting me and maybe they just don't want to anymore. Everyone is entitled to do whatever they need to do in service of themselves, okay? At the end of the day, me being more of a self-actualized person, I don't take it personally. How could I? I love you all genuinely and sincerely, but I don't personally know all of you. I wish I did. I just don't. So I can't personalize someone else's actions, especially someone that doesn't know me. And even people that you do know, people go through things in life, okay? People go through things in their lives. And when you're going through something, you're not able to be the best version of yourself. So considering that fact, if it applies, have compassion for people. I think it's super important to understand that and implement that. But again, as it pertains to social media, know when to check out and log off. Even if you have to delete the app. I've done it myself before. I have literally deleted Instagram before for an entire year. Did not post one thing, did not log on, nothing. It was gone. App, not even on my phone. If that is what you need to do, then you need to do that. You need to honor how it is that you feel. Because at the end of the day, whoever's whoever's going to be there for you, whether you have a platform or whether you're just someone that's just uploading on Instagram like everybody else, it doesn't matter. The people that genuinely want to be around you, people that love you, they're going to still support you. You don't need the validation of others. You don't need to compete with people on the internet that you don't even know. You don't know their situation. You don't know that couple. You don't know how people are affording the things that they have. You don't need to, continue to try and keep up with the Joneses. You don't have to do that. Like who? Who says who? Who's putting this pressure on you other than yourself? And that's what leads to stagnation and things like that. Because even for me, when I first realized I hate editing. I felt bad. I was putting all this pressure on myself. Like, how dare I not edit my own videos? And it was stressing me out. I was putting all this pressure on myself. No, Aisha, you must edit your own content. You must do it. I've even tried a million different ways to make my Instagram feed look aesthetic. That is just a whole other animal that I have not mastered. Color schemes, all these types of things. Who knows? Maybe one day I'll eventually figure it out. But for now, we are nowhere close. We are nowhere close. And I was thinking to myself, why am I putting this pressure on myself? Nobody cares. People just simply, probably at the most basic level, just want me to upload. They just want me to be here. And honestly, great. I show up. I will show up. And that's it. It's all this pressure that we put on ourselves, and we don't realize how we are contributing to our own chaos and our own, misfortune. And this is, of course, the longest point because it is what I do anyways. Yeah, social media, if you have to take a break and respect yourself and this is the first way how you know, okay, you're not seeking validation, then do that. I'm, as we all know, very good at taking breaks because I realize I have to prioritize myself. I have to prioritize my mental health at the end of the day, no matter what. And I'm at a point in my life where I'm just genuinely doing whatever I want to do and whatever makes me happy. We are, as human beings, or at least we should be, multifaceted. People that want to box you into anything are non-progressive people. Why does it bother you that this person one day wants to wear wigs and the next day they want to wear their natural hair? Why do you assume that just because someone wears, wigs or extensions all the time that they must hate themselves? They hate their natural hair. We gotta be a little bit more progressive as a society and not be so black and white with things, especially because, hey, the world we live in right now, especially, there are a lot of gray areas, okay? So I think it's important for us to understand that whatever you're seeking approval from and who, it doesn't matter. And the only reason why you're even considering other people's thoughts and opinions of you, about you, or things that they project onto you are because you are not self-actualized yet. Because when you get to that place, it's very peaceful and you understand it rolls off your shoulder. Okay. If that's how you feel, I genuinely, respectfully, I don't care, but that's just your opinion. It's not going to affect me in any way. And, even for me, I have so many different types of friends and I consider my friends to be all sides of myself. You know what I mean? They're representations of different sides of me because that's how vast of a personality that I have. And I think that's why I feel like I connect with so many different people and people that even may seem different than me, maybe in appearance and things like that. I connect with so many different types of people because I consider myself to be so diverse. You know what I mean? And so me, imagine if I'm out of all the people that I'm friends with, I'm seeking validation from all these different types of people. I'm going to drive myself crazy. Me being self-actualized, I understand I have multiple sides to myself. My style's going to change. I'm going to evolve. I don't want to be boxed in. I'm going to do whatever makes me happy. I understand that. I'm not going to be adding any more pressure onto myself. Guys, life is hard already as it is. Don't be the architect of your own misfortune. Lastly, tip number 3, treat yourself like someone that you are helping. Our internal dialogue is so important. Now, here we go. The guy that you're probably crying over or the guy that you are trying to figure out what he's doing and he's probably just being an a-hole and playing you because a man that really wants you is not going to leave you confused. And let's say that for the people in the back. A man that really wants you is not going to leave you confused. If he wants to, he would. I know a lot of people on TikTok probably are like, if he wants to, he would. That's not true. But it is. Even if he's playing you, if he wants to play you, he will. Hello, hi. How do you know if someone's thinking about you? Well, they're gonna hit you up. It's not rocket science. No one, especially a guy, they're not gonna just ponder about you in silence and just hope that through telepathy that you're going to message them back. No. Okay. No. Anyways, what is the advice that you would give to someone, even your friends? What if your friend in the exact situation that you're in right now were to tell you that specific situation? How would you treat it? Well, one, you're not going to be like, you're so dumb, you're disgusting, you're all this, you're this and you're that. But you're going to say, hey, like, I think that you should start exiting out and checking out of this chat, out of this, relationship, this situationship, because it's not really the best for you. But I want you to know, I'm not going to judge you for taking your time. That's another thing. And this is why your internal dialogue is so important, because genuinely, sometimes how we treat others, it may be better than how we treat ourselves, but a lot of the times it's usually reflective of how we feel about ourselves. So if you're someone that's very harsh, that's the type of advice, and when I say harsh, I know I give tough love, shush, but I'm not mean and I don't judge my friends or anyone for going through certain things. I may say the truth, like, hey, like, you need to start exiting out of this situation, but I'm not going to say, if they don't take my advice, I'm not going to get mad. I'm not going to think less of them as a person. I'm not going to, be judgmental towards a situation, because at the end of the day, everyone's lesson to learn in life is for them. And you can't want what's best for people more than they want for themselves. People are not done until they're done. So understand that. If you were to treat yourself as someone that you're helping, then that means, one, you need to be more gentle and compassionate, because we're usually a lot more nicer to people when we tend to give advice. So you should be to yourself as well. And a lot of the times when we're in relationships that are not necessarily the best for us, because we want this guy's approval so bad. Oh my gosh, I need him to love me. Like, I need him to. What do you do if he doesn't? I know you guys saw my last video. What are you gonna do if you gave all of your best, you've given him everything, and it's still not enough? Then you find yourself in this spiral where you're just coming up with a lot of crafty ways to get validation from him in forms of, all right, well, what can I do to, make myself feel like this guy really cares about me? Or the way that I feel about him, he feels the exact same. I know he feels the same about me. He just doesn't want to say it. What in the emotional immaturity is happening over here? I'm a little nervous. If someone cannot articulate to me how they're feeling, good riddance. I understand everyone has different ways of communicating and things like that, and may have trouble expressing themselves. But to me, that's still a sign of some sort of emotional immaturity there. That's something that they need to be able to work on. And you can't fix someone by being so amazing to them. That's not necessarily going to fix someone, especially in a relationship. It shouldn't be a job. It shouldn't be a project where you're investing so much time trying to build them up, because then they're going to take that new foundation and then go live a new life with someone else. Okay, let's look at what John Mulaney did. If you guys even know who that is, I think he's a comedian or whatever. Long story short, he was in rehab, and literally as soon as he got out of rehab, what did he do? He filed for divorce and started dating someone else, literally like within a couple weeks or a month later, or less than that. I'm pretty sure it was less than that. So that's a little off track, but that just goes to show you that you got to be careful. This whole like build with me sort of thing, I don't necessarily understand it that much. I'm open to hearing people's opinions about it respectfully, but it's always confused me, because if there's one thing that I know is that women need to make their own money. If there's one thing that I know, your career is not going to wake up and say it doesn't love you anymore. You have to have something on your own. What does this have to do at all with seeking validation? It gives you self-esteem. And when you have self-esteem and you have something of your own, you're not going to go searching for it in other people. People are not responsible for your happiness. You are responsible for your happiness. When you place that burden on someone else to be your source of happiness, that's not fair to you, and that's not fair to them. I want you guys to understand that. It's super important. I think we need to understand that we need to reparent ourselves, essentially, before trying to make an attempt to reparent someone else. First of all, you can't. You're only responsible for you, okay? So I really hope that this video has resonated with you guys. Like, seeking validation, external validation from people is never going to make you the quality queen that I know that you are. It's never going to put you in a place where you are showing up as your higher self. And that's another thing that I feel like I've realized. We hear all these terms, but we're not able to actually really feel them, like in our soul, to live them. I feel like I finally understand, and I'm ready to implement when people say, start showing up as your higher self. Because what would the self-actualized version of yourself do? Would she still be in that situationship? Would she be caring about what those people are saying about her? Lies, of course, do hurt. I'm not going to say that they don't. But guess what? People that are determined to have an opinion of you, that says a lot about them. They're people that they're non-progressive. They have nothing better to do with their lives. And that's why they refuse to think that anyone else could ever change. They want to box you in. Well, remember when you did this? Remember when you did that? What's your point? Do people not evolve? Why are you still stuck in the 2001 version of myself? Get over it. And maybe you can get over some hurdles in your own life as well if you would stop minding everybody else's business. That's just, hello, like, let the church say amen. So at the end of the day, I want, and I encourage all of you guys to be self-actualized, to stop seeking external validation, okay? Because I promise you, your life will be a lot happier once you find yourself and you start to root yourself in your purpose. Okay? How do you eliminate these issues? Is one, you need to love yourself and respect yourself way more and choose the pain of growth or choose the pain of stagnation. You have a choice. You absolutely do. Relationships are a choice. It's just whether or not we're done choosing to stop dealing with them. I understand that common sense isn't common when emotions are involved. I understand that and I get it. Believe me, I do. But you either choose the familiarity and the temporary ego booster of sticking around, or you choose growth. And that version of yourself that you want to be is reliant on you to make this power move, okay? Be strong, make a power move, make the right decision for yourself. Don't delay the process any longer, okay? This is what's gonna give you that esteem, that confidence. Then you won't have to worry about these issues of seeking validation in other people. So with that being said, angels, do not forget that I love you and God loves you, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Mwah.